Namaste to all. A very important video. There have been a lot of questions coming to me in my YouTube channel over the past several months about some common questions about my Acharya ji. I have tried to group them in four questions. Point number one: how do I know your Acharya is a Sadist Yogi? Point number two: how do I believe your Acharya? Point number three: what if your Acharya is wrong? Point number four: whom to believe in case of contradiction between Swami Dayanand Saraswati and your Acharya. Very important. Normally, this kind of video is extremely difficult for me to make because it's not like you just take a book and then read answers. These are some answers which is normally given based on the self experience. So the answers given are based on my personal experience with my Acharya ji. I have been associated with my Acharya for the last now almost 19 years. I first contacted my Acharya in 2004, mid of 2004. So now we are in 2024. So almost 20 years, 19 and a half years I would say. So I will try to answer. Of course, the aim of this video is not to satisfy the questioners. The aim of this video is to help those people who are actually serious in the Vedic path and also who are very deep love and connect with my Acharya internally. They are not the Sishyas of my Acharya, but still they love and respect my Acharya so much. So they might also get this kind of questions in future. So I'll try to clarify. How do I know that your Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi? Actually, for you to know, for anybody to know about anybody else, we must first of all go and contact with them. Like my Acharya always says a beautiful example: you want to know about Almighty God, you have to get contact with Almighty God, or you have to get contact with that person who has realized Almighty God, because Almighty God cannot be contacted. He is formless, he is omnipresent. You cannot talk to Almighty God. He will listen to you, but whatever he says you cannot understand, because whatever he has to say, it is already told by Almighty God in the Vedas only. So you must go to an Acharya who has realized that Almighty God and his Vedas knowledge in Samadhi. Then you can understand about Almighty God. Similarly, how do I know? That means the questioner is asking, how do I know that your Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi? You can only know when you contact my Acharya. Of course, you cannot know in the first meeting. When I first met my Acharya in 2004, I even do not know Hindi. So I do not know what is Samadhi, I do not know what is Vedas, I do not know anything. But I met my Acharya by my luck, by my previous Janma, karmas. I met my Acharya, but Samadhi, the word Samadhi itself I learnt after several years only. There is something called as Samadhi. In Samadhi, a person realizes Almighty God, and not only realizes Almighty God, because everybody, whoever Guru is there in the world today, everybody says, I am realized, I am enlightened. But if the definition of Samadhi is further deep, the insight is very clear. In Samadhi, the knowledge of the Vedas also emanates inside the heart of the yogi. So that is a distinguishing factor, because everybody will say, I am enlightened, but they will never speak about the Vedic knowledge. So this has to be very clearly understood. So how do I know if your Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi or not? If the questioner is a real Jigyasu, then he must contact the Acharya. Before contacting the Acharya, because my Acharya lives in Himachal Pradesh, you may be in South India, you may be in Western India, you may be in Eastern India. It's not easily possible to reach to my Acharya's ashram. But then where there is a will, there is surely a way. But before reaching to my Acharya, I would request you to read. If you know Hindi, I would request you to read the book written by my Acharya. The first book I would recommend is Patanjal Yoga Darshanam. Part 1 or part 2. Number 2 book is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ek Vedic Rahasya, part 1. Try to understand the knowledge of my Acharya. If you know English, you can read one of these two books. If you know Hindi. If you know English, then please go through the website vedamandir.com, and there are about hundreds and thousands of question answers which my Acharya has answered over the past 20 years plus. Try to understand the depth what he speaks. Try to understand my Acharya's personality by the answers what he is giving. So you can get a rough idea about the person, number one. And number two, by reading the answers or by reading the textbook, you cannot surely understand whether my Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi or not. Even my Acharya once asked, like 3 years back, when he was doing a pravachan, suddenly he asked that, how do you believe that I am a Samadhist Yogi? You have not seen my Samadhi. Only few of you who are sitting here, maybe one or two have seen my samadhi state, but you have not seen it. How do you believe? So my Acharya always says that don't believe anything on just like, if somebody is saying. My Acharya always says that try to match the qualities with the Vedic knowledge, what Vedas says and what an Acharya is. My Acharya has always walked the talk. Whatever he has spoken in his life till date, he has exactly replicated what is there in the Vedas. My Acharya always says, I do not have any of my personal orders to you, or personal, agya, or personal knowledge to you, because this knowledge is Almighty God's knowledge in the Vedas. So how do I believe if your Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi or not? You must try to before contacting my Acharya, try to read his books, then try to go to Acharya's ashram. If you are lucky, you can contact my Acharya in the ashram. Otherwise, try to participate in the yajna, listen to his knowledge. Slowly by slowly, you do not need to believe that he is a Samadhist Yogi, number one. That's the second stage. The first stage is you must understand that there is somebody who is far, far superior in terms of knowledge than me. If you have this understanding, then for sure you will listen to my Acharya. Slowly and slowly, once you get Diksha, every day if you do tapasya, you will start some kind of realization inside you, which might convince you that if my Acharya is a Samadhist Yogi or not. But my channel's view is not to promote my Acharya. My channel's view is not to promote that, okay, come to our Acharya's ashram and then join. No, this is not my channel's view. I have never told anywhere in my video that you can come to, you have to come to my Acharya's ashram, etc. This is not a publicity video channel. So this you must understand. My Acharya himself has never spoken. Last 45 years he is giving pravachan. He has never spoken, come to me. He has never spoken like that, because a true Samadhist Yogi is always satisfied within himself. And being a disciple of my Acharya, I always want to promote the knowledge what he is preaching, not my Acharya. Of course, I will tell in many of my videos that as I know, there is only one yogi in this universe. That is my Acharya. To my knowledge, there is one yogi. Maybe there could be one or two in the jungles, but I don't know anybody else. This is what I always say. This is the first answer. The second answer is, how do I believe your Acharya? Yeah, again, it's partly covered in the previous thing. See, we must always understand that believing is your personal choice. First of all, listen to what is being told. Believing it or not is your personal choice, because we do not know what is your basically aim in the life. If your aim in the life is not Adhyatmikvad, you do not need to believe my Acharya or anybody else also, because your personal goal, personal agenda is only enjoyment in life. So you don't need to believe the Acharya. But how do I believe in your Acharya? You can believe, or you will have convincing belief only after you start following the Vedic path. After you start doing everyday worship of Almighty God, only you will understand who is Acharya. I have made a video, I think my first English video which I made, Tamil video I made many, but my first English video was, what are the true qualities of Acharya? If you go and I will try to search and give the link in my description. If you see that video, I have tried to explain the qualities of Acharya as per the Vedas. So how do I believe your Acharya? Please try to compare. Once you know my Acharya, you can compare and see what is that Vedas says, Vedas and Shastras and Upanishad says. And one more thing is, these kind of questions were never asked in the past. Nobody ever asked to ask Muni or Patanjali Muni or Kapil Muni that are you a yogi or not. They always gave their knowledge. Similarly, my Acharya always says that I have the swabhav of giving knowledge. If you are interested, Jigyasu, you can take that knowledge. Otherwise, you don't need to come and disturb me. So my Acharya has always kept him, alone from the outside world. He is always in tapasya. He is always in his, privacy. So if you are interested to learn the knowledge, you can go to Acharya. Acharya never calls people. People, if they are interested, Jigyasu, if they are, then they can go to Acharya. So how do I believe your Acharya? You don't have to believe, but you can believe only after you understand the concept of Sanatan Dharma and the Vedas. The next one is, what if your Acharya is wrong? See, wrong and right, also the definition we must understand. Wrong, what is wrong? Almighty God says in the Vedas, whatever is against the Vedas is wrong. So if somebody is preaching only the Vedic truth, then there is no question of what if your Acharya is wrong. And number two, Aittiriya Upanishad shloka, where, Veda, Anucha, Acharya, there is a shloka. where the Rishi in the Upanishad is giving knowledge to the disciples, and there is one word, one sentence in that Rishi says, if you find there is anything wrong in me, please ignore my mistakes and only take the positive things. This is the humbleness of Acharya in Taittiriya Upanishad. But to my knowledge, I have been associated with my Acharya for last 19.5 years. My Acharya has always spoken the truth of Vedas, so there is nothing wrong I have found in my Acharya, and there is no even capability or capacity for people like me to judge a person like my Acharya. So this is very, very important. And lastly, whom to believe if there is a contradiction between Swami Dayananda Saraswati and your Acharya? To my knowledge, there are no contradictions, but there are some people who have asked this question many times, that they find some contradictions. See, the contradictions, if at all there are some contradictions, it is normally in the surface. In the deep down, it's always same. One person came to Maharishi Dayananda Saraswati and said that why are all the Shastras contradicting to each other? Then Maharishi explained, no, there is no contradiction. This perfectly, they are in line, but they speak different subject. So we must understand the Maharishi Dayananda Saraswati's in-depth knowledge as well as my Acharya's knowledge. And then for me personally, if you ask me whom do you believe if there is a contradiction between Swami Dayananda Saraswati and your Acharya, of course I will believe my Acharya, because my Acharya is Sadist Yogi living now. Maharishi is no more now. So you cannot get clarification from Maharishi. But when you go to, you must believe the living Acharya, because he will give you the insight. Probably this is why Maharishi has told like this. Like there was one question like 6 years back, one guy was asking a question that Maharishi has written in the Arya Samaj rules, Ved ka patan patan, Ved ko padna aur usko padana Arya ka dharma hai. That means reading the Vedas and teaching the Vedas to others is Arya Dharma. Here reading the Vedas he has written. So the question asked to my Acharya was, you have always told that you must listen Vedas, but why Maharishi says reading Vedas? You have always told that Vedas are not books, you cannot read Vedas, then Maharishi has told read Vedas. So this is not a contradiction, this is a superficial contradiction. But then my Acharya explained, see why he has mentioned reading is because he has assumed that you have listened it from your Guru and then you are trying to read it. You have taken notes, or you have got the notes from your Acharya. Acharya has given you this book. Okay, I have explained you can go through this book to revise. So from that knowledge probably he has spoken, because Maharishi also listened Vedas, listened the knowledge only from his Acharya. So Maharishi also did not go through the books. He listened it from the Acharya, then only he got books expertise, and then only he started writing books. So similarly, with that context, you would have told like that. My Acharya clarified. So if there are any contradictions, that could be in a surface level, but not in the in depth. So to my knowledge, there are no contradictions. But if there are any contradiction, I will believe my Acharya, because I have seen my Acharya. I know my Acharya, and my Acharya is a living yogi as per me. So I will definitely believe my Acharya. Not that I will not believe. I do not believe in this case, because Maharishi has written original in Sanskrit. Somebody has translated in Hindi or English. So we do not know what was there in the mind of translator. So we do not know what was the real bhav of Maharishi. So to get deeper clarity, we must believe. I will believe my Acharya. So this is in short. So I hope this short video, gave some clarity to you. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.